Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here at the Trade Effect podcast. I'm so glad to have you guys one more time. And today I have a very special guest. His name is Nick Stewart from the community Time to Eat Trading. Nick, how are you, man?
Hey, brother, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on today.
Thank you for being aboard, man. It's just amazing to have you here. I know it's a brand new community for my community to get to know. And I know that there's going to be a lot of value giving out in this podcast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to open up the conversation. We're going to drop some heat here today.
For sure. So tell us a bit about you. Where are you from? How long have you been trading, man?
Yeah. Yeah. So my name is Nick Stewart, obviously, and I am originally from New York. Grew up in New York, born and raised about 45 minutes outside of Manhattan. So grew up in a small town. I was a big athlete growing up, played a lot of baseball, and just enjoyed the whole player coach mentality. I love to win. So just enjoyed my time in athletics and, eventually kind of moved on after I realized I wasn't going to do the whole pro thing. I kind of moved on and really wanted to set myself apart and get into business. It just always kind of inspired me and got into network marketing and then learned a lot there. And then a couple years later, got into trading and pretty much been trading since 2020.
Oh, wow. So pandemic, right?
Yeah, a little bit before it, maybe a couple months before. Let me just hit that for you. A couple months before the pandemic popped off, I was beginning to put my head in the books and see if I can somehow, some way, get a grasp on this skill set we call trading.
Yeah. And how has it been though throughout this years? Where did you learn from? Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so it's been well. It's been really good. I've originally learned from someone named Raja Banks. He was probably the main mentor that I would say. I mean, I've kind of took a few things from a few different people, but all in all, as I put the puzzle together, I would say I kind of leaned more towards his style of trading. It just made sense to me. The other styles, they make sense as well. They're profitable, but you really got to figure out what's best for you, right? And what's easiest for your brain to understand and something that you can actually commit to, right? And enjoy learning about. So Raja brought up the idea of trading candlesticks and volume, and that just made sense to me. It simplified trading, and I think ever since I kind of began to mentor with him, things really, really changed for me.
I believe so, yeah. And I agree with what you say. The strategy, I think you got to find that edge, right? And
Yeah,
for some people, this specific strategy could be easy for you this other way. And as long as you understand it and follow it, and overall, just make it simple, because I think trading should be simple. Otherwise, you're just going to struggle, right?
for sure. Yeah, and that's what I tell my group all the time. It's like you really got to figure out what makes sense for you. Every strategy works. That's the thing, and we live in this overload of information today where, if one thing doesn't work for a couple trades, you can go decide to take a look at another strategy and, the famous strategy hopping, right? And
Yeah.
I just encourage everyone to maybe strategy hop for a couple months in the beginning to see what you feel best doing. But once you find a strategy that it makes sense to you, it's simplified, you can wrap your head around it, begin to study that, right? Begin to go all in on that. Begin to learn the nuances within that strategy. Because if somebody else is successful with it, then you are no different than them, right? So as long as you can study it and get it down, you can eventually find success in that as well.
That is so true, and I think once you find it and you study it and you go with it, smoothly, you'll get it into that objective, being profitable and all that. What were
For
those
sure.
challenges that you did have at the beginning? Because I know you started, a little bit before 2020. But
Mhm.
what were those challenges that you had when you first started trading? A lot of people might be starting nowadays, and this could be a good advice, or learn from your experience.
For sure. Yeah. One of the big challenges for me was I would overtrade. And it's, you got to understand that trading goes against human nature, right? So, um, this is why I see a lot of entrepreneurs and salespeople struggle when it comes to trading because they're an entrepreneur, they're a salesman, they're all about like the hustle, right? You want to make money in sales, you got to pound the phone, right? You want to make money in business, you got to find deals and always be on the lookout. But when it comes to trading, it's a little bit different. You kind of have to tone that down a little bit and begin to understand that less is more, right? So I did sales, I did network marketing. I wanted to put the numbers in my favor all of my life, right? In
Yeah.
terms of trying to build success. But it's a little bit different in trading. I think a lot of guys come into it with that mentality that if I trade, I'll make money, money, money. But you come to realize that every time you put a trade on the market, you open yourself up to risk, right?
Yeah.
And you begin to lose, right? Because you don't really have the strategy down yet as a beginner. And my biggest thing was over trading. I would overtrade, and I thought that the more I traded, the more money I could make, and then I would lose trades and revenge trade and over risk. So I think I went around the typical beginner, cyclone, I guess you can call it, of that nasty mess. And I always tell people you're gonna go through that. How long you go through it is up to you, and you're either gonna get spit out on one side or the other, and you're either gonna get spit out and you're gonna be mentally depleted, right? Or you're going to run out of capital, or you're going to get spit out on this side, and you're going to learn from your mistakes. You're going to begin to take a professional approach to the market and be a disciplined, mature trader over time because you don't want to get, beat up anymore in the markets.
For sure. Like in my case, also, I think I go with that. Over trading, revenge trading. I think changing too many strategies and trading like so many pairs, that just
Yeah.
makes you like hype to kind of get into trades. And towards the end, you just don't see any results because all you're doing is repeating mistakes, most of them.
Yep.
And then you just got
Yeah.
to take it easy. But what actually made that life changer for you? Because I know you said you overtraded and stuff, and a lot of
Hmm.
people might be doing that. And, I
Yeah.
understand them because it's something for beginners. I don't know why, but it's
Yeah.
something that we all go through. But what
Hmm.
really helped you kind of get out of that overtrading situation?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, almost every trader has to go through that for a brief period of time. And what really helped me get out of that was number one, I really didn't want to bang my head up against the wall anymore. It was just hurt. Like eventually you kind of step back and you go, oh, there's a doorknob here. Let me actually open the door
Mm,
instead of trying to smash my head through it. Right. So a little bit of pain, kind of pushed me a little bit, but also I I already had this mature mindset coming into trading, and I knew that I needed to learn from my mistakes. I knew that I could continue making the same mistakes for years and never grow out of it. So I had to mature. And I heard Raja one time. It was brand new year. We were going into a new year. I believe it was 2021, and he said, "You want to change your trading this year?" He said, "I want you to focus on 1 to 2 pairs and 1 to 2 trades a day." Nothing more, nothing less. And I finally allowed myself to give it a go, right? And
mhm.
one other big thing, again, I'm pretty mature with my mindset going into trading just from my network marketing experience and building up success there, that I began to have an outer body experience because we all know in trading, we like to call it that moment, right? Where everything is all good. You show up to the desk, you're ready to have a good day, and then you happen to take a trade and maybe it didn't go your way. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what it is, right? Someone else takes over your brain and you begin to lock in. You begin to overtrade, revenge trade, over risk. And then 35, 45 minutes later, you sit back and you look around, what the heck? What just happened, right? My
Yeah.
account's gone. Where'd it go? So I began to understand when I was entering into that moment, right? And it's almost like you have a outer body experience where you say, "Hey, look, Nick, you're in the moment. This is where you typically blow it. This is where you typically overtrade, over risk, and make really bad decisions. It's time to get off the desk, right?" Because a friend of mine, when I was struggling with this, he was way more experienced in trading than I was, and I was telling him about it. But man, I had such a great week, and then just end up blowing it, on Friday or Thursday, and he told me, it's best if you can't handle a loss right now, that's okay. But it's best to just get off the desk at that point because it will continue to be a downward spiral from that point forward. So what I started to do was started to realize I was in that moment. I said, all right, I took my 2 trades a day, like Raja said. I took a loss. Let me eat the loss, come back the next day with a fresh mindset and just look for the next best trade. So when I kind of developed that mentality of I took a trade, it didn't work out according to probability. It was a good setup. Let me just focus tomorrow on taking the next best trade. And that's when things started really turning a leaf for me.
Amazing. I agree on that as well. I mean, it's not easy. You're just away from a decision, just saying, I don't want to be going through the same thing over and over again. And I
Yeah,
think that happened to me as well. And I've been following you, in the previous days, and something that I highly value from you. We're going to talk about your community later on, and a little bit
sure.
about your daily life. But one thing
Hmm.
that I want to, put here is you did have a losing streak starting, I think, this year or this
I
month.
did.
And this is something important because not everyone goes out and says, I've just been losing and, I'm just chilling and we're just going to come back tomorrow. But tell us a bit about that because I think that's so much value. And I think I messaged you and said, that just talks so good about you as a person and trader, just to be transparent and honest with your community itself, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we did go on. We did hit a little slump, and it's funny, and the way you perceive things in life dictate the future results that you get. And as we really hit, like, we over the past 3 years, it's almost like I couldn't miss. Something just came up in my trading, and I mean, we've had like an 80% win rate for the last 3 years.
Wow.
And this February we ran into a little bit of slump. Like we would have 2 losses in a row, 3 losses in a row, maybe one or two or three times last year. But this year we came into February and all ready for a good month, and loss after loss after loss after loss. So we took 6 losses in a row. And again, perspective is everything. And the way I seen it was, you know what? It's an honor, right? It's an honor to finally hit this point that I have heard all the greats talk about, right? Mark Douglas and big traders. I can name a few of them, but real traders, real. And Mark Douglas isn't necessarily a trader, but more of a psychology coach.
Hmm.
But some of the traders that I study who have been trading for maybe longer than you and I have been alive, they all have mentioned about their slumps, and the times that they got into a funk and where things didn't work out and how they stay composed through that, right? Because all again, my mentality through every loss was I just got to come back and look for the next best trade. Now, when you get a sit 5 in a row and then boom, you take your 6 in a row, a lot of times that will shake people, but everyone, I could have listened to all the noise out there, change your strategy, or
Yeah.
you got to understand this, you got to understand that. But we just stayed diligent, stayed composed, showed up, every single day with the same approach to the market. And like I said, it was an honor to actually go through that slump for a little bit because again, I felt like we almost just couldn't miss right over the last couple years. And you can only go so high for so long before having a pullback. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what we needed. We needed a little pullback. And we got a couple wins here over the last couple days to kind of shake the slump a little bit. So that felt really good to kind of come out of that slump. But yeah, you're in a game where you're either going to win or lose. And the way I look at it is if you roll a die and you roll it 100 times, and let's say I have to pay you, right? If it rolls on a 2, then I pay you. If it rolls on any other number, though, you pay me.
Hmm.
So I understand that over 100 rolls, I will most likely walk away with the bigger bag, right? But that doesn't mean that I cannot roll 5 twos in a row, 6 twos in a row, 3 twos, 7 twos in a row. Is it realistic? Not really, but can it happen? Is it possible? Yes. So I understand the game I'm playing, right? I understand that, over the long haul, right? The long game, I will win. But the short term, the result is completely random. So I always like to look at the bigger picture versus looking right on what's happening right in front of me. I look at the bigger picture and I say to myself, my wife and I, we've been free for 3 years now, and we've really done well in trading, and it's provided a great life for us. And that's the reality of it. The 6 losses, yeah, we'll look back at those and be like, yeah, that was a crazy little slump, but we're able to move on from it. So that's the way I typically tend to look at it. And just like professional athletes, again, I have a background in baseball, and I can go up to the plate and I could strike. I could be one of the best hitters on the team, and I can strike out and not get on base 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a row. But once I get out of that slump, we'll continue on as normal business. So that's pretty much the way I look at it. Nothing but a little slump, and we cracked the slump a couple days ago. Just wanted to get a base hit, just a green day on the board, and we did that. And that kind of boosts your confidence a little bit, boosts your psychology, and yeah, we're back to the regular scheduled program.
Nice. And how did your community feel about it? Because I trade myself live as well with some of my community members. And
Yeah.
January for us wasn't that good, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
Overall, like some understand it, they have that attitude, like, we know the game. But some other
Hmm.
people, they kind of don't understand it. How did your community feel about it? Because you trade in front of a lot of people, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. So my thing is leadership, right? I know people are always watching, and it's my job to stay composed, and the community for the most part understood it, because where I think most people fail in this industry is within their expectations of what trading actually is. And you have these flyby traders who they're just in it for the money. So of course those guys are going to be a little bit, we like to call them Quakers, right? They're going to be a little upset, a little mad. They're going to let emotions get the best of them. But what I teach, what I teach the crew is how to stay composed, how to look at it with a long-term perspective, and understanding that you never want to base your your trading off of the next 1 or 2 trades, but over the next 40, 50, 60 trades. And that's what we continue to focus on, was the long term. Again, example, right? I only take A+ setups, and the coolest part about all 6 of those losses were they were all A+ setups. They were all setups that typically have a 75, 80% win rate. So the 2 or 3 wins that we just took to break the slump, they were the same exact trades we took within the slump. So just it was good for them to see me go through that, the way I handled it, the way I showed up to the desk every day with the same mindset, same attitude. And I think that helped them a lot too. Continue to hold their composure and really understand the game, right? Because we talk about that rolling the die concept on the live stream here and there. And it's one thing to talk about it,
Yeah.
it's another thing to live it. Right. So they got to live it. They got to see me live it out a little bit. And they also got to see me shake the dust off and get back to what we do best.
That's great. Yeah, because I know there's a lot of people that don't understand it. Probably they're just starting. Even Raja, he got a lot of hate
Mhm.
sometimes. He used to live stream
Yeah.
for so long, and
Hmm.
there's always people just looking to see what mistakes you make, and then all
Yeah.
of that. But the fact of you being, steady and just keep going and repeating your same setup, that's the whole secret. I believe in the
Yeah.
end, it's not a matter of changing your strategies, just keep following your rules. And you get
Yeah.
your rules from, all that forward testing, back testing.
Sure.
Once you have data over the years and months, you just can't it can't fail. And that's what I tell
Right.
my people. I'm always saying, if you have your data, if you have X amount of trades, a lot of them, of course, that
Hmm.
just help you have that number in statistics to just keep going. in the end is was what helps. For me, same thing.
Yeah.
I have my specific setup. The way I look at the market could be a bit different, but as long as I have those rules coming into play, we just go for it. And
Yeah.
it's risk management. If you don't risk manage, then you're gone. You could have the best strategy, but just one trade could just screw you up.
Yeah, I agree. Men, you hear it all the time. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So that goes with the data. I just strictly, just like the pros, they trade data. So that's what I do. I just trade the data in front of me, and I understand that, again, there could be some losses within there, but as long as you continue to trade what work, right? Because obviously I have a live stream, and then you have a live chat, and then you
Yeah.
got it's live on YouTube. So you got any random people coming in, telling you to do this and do that, but I can't listen to them, right? I can only listen to the data that I have actually studied, watched, and sample sized for the last 3 or 4 years. So I understand the data will win. I trust my playbook. It's never, when I take a win, it's never me that's so great that we won that trade. So I
Mhm.
never celebrate that trade. I never jump up and down. And you can imagine we have thousands of people on the live stream, W's in the chat, but I stay level headed on the wins and don't jump up and down too much. And same thing with the losses, because just because I took a loss doesn't make me a loser, right?
Mhm.
My playbook does the winning and the losing. I just have to be disciplined to the data of the playbook. So that's the way I look at it. That's the way I try and teach other traders to look at it. Otherwise, you get up and you get down and you go through this emotional roller coaster and you make really, really bad decisions that way. So if you can kind of build your trading off of systems, trust that system, and what that system will do will limit your own thinking, so that way you don't make those bad decisions while you're trading.
Yeah, it's kind of become a robot in a way that you just follow specific, rules. That's it.
Yeah.
Because when you
Yeah.
put feelings into it, like I don't feel like it may be doing this or whatever, and you just put
Yeah.
that doubt in your mind, you're just really not
Yeah.
following your plan. I
That's
I
so
tell
true.
people like you could have your plan, your trading plan, and you probably think you're okay just might not taking a trade because you think or because you've had a feeling, but just the fact
Mm-hmm.
of not following it, you're just not being disciplined. Even though you didn't take a loss, but you're not
Mm-hmm.
following your plan. And your plan is there to
Yeah.
just, there's no emotions into it. Your trading plan
No.
doesn't say, or at least mine doesn't say, if you feel this way, then you just don't trade. I mean, it's just a
Yeah.
matter of this are the things that you need to see and the rules, and you just go for it. And I think
Mm.
if people understand that, then it will be much easier. Even Mark Douglas,
Yeah.
in an interview, I remember he did mention you could have an A+ setup, 100, you won't have 100% of win rate on it. It could have the
Nothing.
same
Yeah.
exact setup, but it's gonna fail at one point because it's probability.
Yes. Yes, yes. Everything is probability. That's the thing that rookie traders and newbie traders don't understand, is that we're not chasing the volume. We're not chasing the move. We're not chasing the money. We're chasing our data. We're chasing our playbook, and over time, those probabilities will play themselves out. But if you keep breaking your plan and you keep jumping on unnecessary moves, you don't give your edge an opportunity to reveal itself and give you the right probabilities that it deserves to get, because you continue to break it. You continue to introduce different things. So that's why a lot of traders, they think they have a good approach to the markets, but they're all over the place and they don't have something super concrete to show up with every single day. I think if they just can hone in on that one system and don't worry about the wins, don't worry about the losses, just trade the edge 100 times and let the numbers fall where they may.
Yeah, for sure. What about your strategy? Talk about, let's say, I know your risk reward is not as huge,
Hmm.
and I like that because most people nowadays they think that they need to have a huge RR to just be profitable. Otherwise, they won't be able to make it, and probably just having a 1-to-1, 1-to-2, or even less is just not affordable, right? But what about
Yeah.
you and your style? How is your style of trading? How is your approach to this risk reward?
Yeah, so my approach to risk to reward is, obviously you want to have if you can get 2 to 1, that's great, but anything 1 to 1 or better is good for me. I am really big on win rate. over risk to reward. And they kind of the scales kind of measure themselves out because typically guys that use big or guys and girls that use big risk to reward, their win rate usually is a little low, right?
Mhm.
So that RR makes up for it. For me, I like to focus on win rate because I'm really big in taking wins. I'm really big in, again, baseball background, that base hits win ball games.
Mhm.
And there's something else to it from a psychology standpoint and from a mindset and mentality, right? Where when you take a win, you feel good, don't you?
Yeah.
You feel good, and when you take a win, you feel good and you get to live with that feeling the entire day, right? Typically here in the US, the New York session's done by the morning time. So whatever happens, you kind of have that vibe the rest of the day. So I'm really big on securing profits when they're there, listening to the charts, looking left on the charts, finding specific parameters where I can close those partials, and then typically I'll scalp the partial and then I will let my runner kind of turn into an intraday trade if possible. But again, I'm very big on stacking wins because when you win, you feel good. When you feel good, you do good. And again, you get to kind of roll with that feeling the rest of the day and come back the next day, get your base hit, take your win, and you begin to develop this rhythm, this flow where if you're waiting on 2 to 1s, 3 to 1s, 4 to 1s, and you don't hit them, and it takes a toll on you because you keep losing, and then once you begin to lose and lose and lose, and it doesn't feel good, right? It's
Mhm.
no one likes to lose, so then it kind of almost becomes a drag to just show up to the desk every day. So I'm really big on the win rate and stacking wins in our favor, and anything one to one or more is golden for me.
That's amazing. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I completely
Yeah.
agree. And it all depends also on your strategy, because there's people that could live with that, having a low win
Hmm.
rate and just getting a
Hmm.
bit more of risk reward. That's really up
Sure.
to the person, but you need to know yourself, because you might think you're prepared for that, but you're really not. Because now no one likes to lose, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. What you said there is very important. It really does depend on your system and your strategy. And like, I don't know if you know, or you should know if you watch the streams. I trade gold, right? So I'm
Yeah.
mainly just trading gold, and gold is a very high volatile pair. So I'm a volume hunter, right? So I want to trade when the volume is in. So typically, I will trade the NY Open or the NYSE Open, the stock exchange up there at 9:30, where
Mhm.
that one candle is going to be 60, 50, 60 pips. So if I can get in that candle and find an entry according to my system, then I'm in a trade for 20 minutes. Like today, we're in a trade for about 15, 20 seconds before I closed partials. Right. So we sat there, we were on the stream, we hung out for 2.5, 3 hours. Our setup showed up. We got in the trade, and because it was the New York Stock Exchange open, once we got activated, price aggressively began to move. And it was about I don't know, I think we had about a 50 pip range to trade, close partials around like 20 pips and let the rest run. And that was the trade of the day. So it really does depend on what type of style you're trading, what pair you're trading, how is the volatility, and really what you're looking to get out of the markets every day.
Yeah. And now that you mentioned that you trade gold, like what would be an advice to people in reference to, having so many pairs? Because there's a lot of people that have like 10, 5, I don't know, 20 pairs, but you
Yeah.
only trade one. I'm more of trading less. It's less
Mhm.
pairs is more useful. But in your case, like what would be your advice? Why did you get to that point of just trading gold?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. And like you said earlier, you have to know yourself, right? Bible says know thyself, right? And you'll begin to make better decisions. And I think it all comes down to knowing yourself. I have friends who trade and they look at 10 different pairs and they look for setups on those pairs and they do really well for themselves. But for me, I am more of a simplistic guy, and looking I would have 10, 15 pairs on my watch list early on, when I first started trading, and it just was too confusing for me. Right. And then again, going back to what Raja said, was really just focus on one or two pairs.
Hmm.
And when the way I see it is kind of like we always bring up the analogy of like a girl, like you don't want to, if you date multiple girls, you're gonna have some trouble, right? Especially like yesterday was Valentine's Day, so you're
Oh
gonna have
yeah.
some big trouble come Valentine's Day because you're not sure if she likes chocolates and she likes roses or which movie they like. So when you hone in, you focus on one girl, you know everything about her. You know what she likes, you know what she doesn't like. And that goes the same with trading pairs. And one thing that really has pushed me ahead of the game, I believe, is just I've studied the same pair for 4 years now. So it becomes second nature. I know I've studied every candle in the New York session on gold for the past, 3, 4 years. So
Mhm.
I know how gold likes to move. Therefore, I'm very fluent with it. I know when to get in, I know when to hold off. And I'm not, am I perfect? Nope. We all make mistakes. The probabilities sometimes don't go in our favor, but I'm very confident and very secure in trading gold just because I know it like the back of my hand.
Yeah, as long as you know it and because of the data you have, that just makes you more confident every day. So I
Yeah.
completely agree on that as well because having so many pairs, in my opinion, just, kind of drives you crazy. And in a way is like if you back test, let's say when you're back testing, most people when they back test any pair, you're not necessarily back testing like two or three pairs at a time. You're normally just
Hmm.
sitting on one and then you're getting
Hmm.
data from a specific pair. So what I tell
Yeah.
people is like what you do in a back test, and if you're getting good results in that back test, you have to reflect it in your live trading. And the one thing that's gonna screw you up is that in live trading, you're trading the pair that you tested, but then you're adding
Yeah.
another one because you saw a different opportunity. So that just kind of
Hmm.
messes up a bit, that
Yeah.
statistic and that data that you have in reference to your back testing. So I agree on that
Yeah.
as well. I think if you're looking at this podcast and stuff, you need to just focus on one. Maybe you could add up a second one, and that's about it. Do you trade any
Yeah.
other pair aside from gold or?
Yeah. So I trade pound yen as well.
Okay.
But today we actually just finally X'd off pound yen from the watch list. So yeah, we finally got rid of it and we added Nasdaq, so the Nas 100. And I actually funny you say like back testing because I never back test. I
Okay.
never do any back tests, and I know it sounds shocking, but what I like to do is I like to sample size, right? So I like to watch current market conditions, and I like to watch, and I'm a big observer, and we just observe these pairs. So Nas 100 was a pair ever since probably 2023, beginning of last year, I would say. Pound yen just hasn't been the same animal in the New York session, right? So I was seeking out another pair that was just as volatile as gold, right? Where I can get that volume. And we looked at US 30, we sample sized that, meaning we watched it every day. And we wanted to see if our system would work well with it. So we would take fake trades, pretend to trade, right? And just watch what would happen. Um, US 30 didn't really make sense. It just didn't click. It just didn't click for me. It's a great pair. A lot of people I know trade it, but it just wasn't the pair for me. And, the next pair to look at was NAS, right? So we began to study that together as a community since June of last year.
All right.
So we studied it for 6 months. I'm never in a rush, even when it comes to new setups and different things and nuances that I see in the market. I'm never in a rush. I'm always willing. Again, I always have the long game in mind. So I'm always willing to watch, wait, and patiently observe. So that way, when I do begin to trade it, I have a really, really good understanding. So we watched the NASDAQ since June of last year, and we just recently began to trade that pair as well. And, now I'll go half risk on that. I won't, I'll earn my size on there. And but gold is my number one pair. GJ's gone, Naz is in, so it's just gold and Naz now.
Well, NASA's a nice one. I mean, it just moves pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Normally it's just bullish, but it's pretty good. I mean, I
yeah.
love
Oh
that
my
one as
God,
well. Yeah, I
it's
like
been
that.
bullish. It's been bullish. The last, I mean,
Yes.
oh my God, we've been in outer space now. It gets difficult to trade Naz way up there in the all-time highs. But yeah, we're waiting on it to come down a little bit more so we can create some ranges and find some opportunities there.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Now, I also follow you because well, I like your content, but I know you're a person of faith,
Hmm.
and that's very important, in your life and my life as well. I see what you share in your stories, and I know it's not religion, but it's a lifestyle, right?
Mhm.
So tell us a bit about that, about your faith and
Yeah, man. That's a great question. It's everything, right? You seek the kingdom first, and all
yep.
things will be added unto you. And I just chose to believe that, and some things happened in my life when I was younger where I went down a road that wasn't the best. And I lost faith in not in God, but in religious people. Religious people kind of gave me a bad taste, right? And I would see what they would talk about and how they would live, and I go, well, that doesn't line up. And I would see that over and over again, and I began to steer away from the faith. And eventually some things, God kind of moves some things around. I'm a big believer in everything happens for you, nothing happens to you, right? When you think, oh man, this happened to me, you're in a victim mindset, right? So
Yeah.
I understand that everything happens for me, and it put me in a position to actually have a true relationship with God, and understand, begin to understand the word and dive into that on a daily basis. And it's funny that ever since then, things have turned a new leaf in my life, and that was years ago now. But my faith is the most important thing that I have, I mean, when it's all said and done, it's just you and God, you're not going to be buried, you're not going to die with this person or that person or this watch or that car or anything. It's just you and your maker. And I'm very, very big in the faith, and it's absolutely changed my life in terms of the relationship with Christ, and just being free, just being free. That's been the coolest part, and it's allowed me to walk in victory versus walk with this type of victim mindset about life.
I love that, and can't be any more accurate on that because I'm also a man of faith, and I've been,
Amen.
since I was like very young, just like 12 years, and ever
Hmm.
since then we've been walking through that. But we've been having, a lot of, as you grow, there's things that you start seeing that you're not probably too comfortable with, and then you go out and back, and in the end, there's God always putting you in that path again because He takes
Yeah.
care of you. It's and again, it's not religion. For me, it's just lifestyle, just the fact of
Yeah.
counting with God for everything we do,
Yeah.
in every situation, because we could be passing through struggles and problems, but in the end, you're not alone. And that's like the
Yeah.
main thing that even throughout this path of trading, and I know a lot of people that see this might be passing through struggles. They've been losing money. They've been going through so many things in their lives that we're not probably too familiar in some cases, but God is, and God is always willing to help you out, to give you a little push, and bring you the
Yeah.
best things and opportunities. But we're just sometimes
Hmm.
not putting our ears to what He wants to say. So
Yeah.
I completely love that as well, and I believe that because of Him we're here, and I
Hmm.
think He's the only one that gives you the wisdom, the knowledge into anything. In our case, trading. I think that's the key, one of the main keys. And again, not saying about religion, but just the fact of having a different lifestyle. And probably if you're looking at this and you're going through the same thing, and you've been years trying to pursue this dream of being a good trader and profitable and all that, maybe it's time to kind of stop and put attention to what He has to say for you, and then just change a lot of things in life, right? And I love
Yeah.
that from your content as well, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And hey, what do you define? What is trouble? What is pain? Right? What are these things? Do we actually perceive them properly, or is it what somebody else gave us the definition, right? No one said life was supposed to be easy,
Mm-hmm.
right? And no one said struggle was supposed to be bad. What is bad, right? And when you begin to question everything that you've learned, you begin to develop a new perspective on things, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of the bad things in my life actually turned out to be incredibly life-changing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can never connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back,
Yeah.
right? So and that goes back to everything happens for me and not to me, because a lot of times when we look back at those situations that we felt really bad about during the time, like, oh my God, my life is over. This is the worst thing that ever happened to me. Looking back, a lot of people will say, hey, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. right? So it's all about, having that perspective and understanding that everything will work towards your favor, right? Every adversity comes with the seed of an equal or greater benefit. So when you begin to understand that, you begin to look at adversity in a different way. You begin to look at pain and struggle in a different way. Now understanding that you are building endurance, right? The
Mhm.
Bible says troubles are to test our quality, right? So our quality is being tested to see how well we will be able to perform moving forward. So yeah, it's all everything's perspective, man.
Yeah. It's like gold. You need to pass it through fire, you know? It's like you need to sometimes live certain things in your life. And
Mhm.
if we just take out that mindset of blaming, because there's a lot of people that do that, you know, if
Yeah.
there's why is this things happening in the world if there's a God? And there's a lot of people that question that. But in the
Hmm.
end, you know, when you change that mindset and that view in life and the things that might be happening to you, that eventually you're not going to stay there forever. They're there for a reason, and you're passing through anything just because you need to learn certain things. And I think
Yeah.
if you don't pass through those moments, then you can't mature, you can't really grow in many ways, right?
Yeah, that's so true. It's like the diamond, I always think of the diamond and what it goes through to get itself to where it needs to be. And it's a lot of struggle. It's a lot of fire, like you said. It's a lot of just, you know, almost like, man, we shouldn't be going through this right now. But
Yeah.
again, the end product is really what you're looking for. And, every single trial that I've been through, every single struggle that I've been through, keeping the right perspective has just made allowed me to pop out of the other side even better with more wisdom, right? Because like Solomon, God said you could ask for anything, right? He could have
Yeah.
asked for fancy lifestyle, fancy jewels, women, whatever he wanted, but what did he ask for? He asked for wisdom,
Hmm.
right? He asked for wisdom, and then everything began to come to him once he gained wisdom. So how do you get wisdom? You got to go through trial and error.
Yep.
You got to go through trial and error. You got to go through struggle and to see what you're made of, and as you come out, you have a new perspective on life.
Yeah. I use that example a lot of Salomon, because there's tons of people that or it happens a lot in Latin America, you know, situation down here is not as easy as in the States. Not saying that there's no situations in the US, but you know, in
Hmm.
Latin America there's a lot of necessity. And a lot of people are used to just asking God for money. You know, they're passing through a financial crisis and they're all like, God, please give me money because I need to get out of debt.
Yeah.
But if you follow this advice, Solomon never asked for money. He asked for
Nope.
wisdom, and then wisdom attracts all of that. You know, all of that
Yeah.
comes because you're being wise and you're getting your knowledge and you're being able to make money instead of just
Yeah.
getting that, you know, you just got to learn how to fish, not just get the
Yeah.
fish because they're giving to you, right? So
For sure.
it's nice. It's nice to know that. And now going into a bit about your community, I know you're the founder of Time to Eat Trading. I love that title. Like, why did you give me with that title, Time to Eat? And tell us a bit
Yeah.
about it. I mean, how long have you been with it exactly? Because I know you started trading way before 2020, but
Hmm.
tell us a bit about your community so that people can know more about you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The name is pretty funny. It and going back to scripture, right?
Hmm.
And the relationship with God. So I was a struggling trader for a couple years, and then eventually, started to, not spin my tires anymore and kind of get some traction. And during that time, I was in a study of the Book of Acts. It was about a 60-hour study that I was doing. It took me about 2 months,
Hmm.
and my mind and my spirit was just blown, right? After really diving in and really understanding what these men and women had done. And I just thought to myself, how can I measure up? Like, how can I even begin to put in the work like these guys and girls have done? And God said, I'm going to use trading. I'm going to use you in this industry to impact lives and save souls. And thought, how are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? And the message and the download came to me, and it's you're gonna live stream. You're gonna do it. I said, nah, not me. I'm not the best talker. I'm not the greatest trader. really. And the download was so clear. And I had already watched Raja and another kid, Don, who is really good mentor of mine as well. And I thought, you know what, you want me to do it? I'll do it. And it's no surprise that we grew so fast. I just focused on really pouring into people, really putting value out there, and we just took off. It was time to eat, man. And my wife actually uh founded the name. It was just a
Nice.
random day. She was like, "You should just call it time to eat," and it is time to eat, and it's time to eat, the bread of life on the streams, and it's time to eat pips, and time to really eat and digest the knowledge and the wisdom that I feel, I'm not that great, but God can speak through somebody, right? And I just feel like as I continue to overflow my cup, I'm able to spit it out very naturally. And that's all we've focused on, is doing what God has called me to do and impacting as many lives as we possibly can. And now there's just been thousands of lives impacted. I mean, we grew 32,000,
Wow.
in the last 12 months. We started February last year, and we've just had such a ball, man, such a blast, and so many lives have been impacted. So it's been super cool.
I love it, because in a way, that's where we're here for. And God put us in this path of trading for a reason. And if you're doing that, I personally like to do that as well.
Mm,
Through the people that I have the chance to teach. I don't have as a big community as yours, but there's a lot of people that come into your life, and as long as you could put that message in, it's amazing. I remember once there's not a student, but a friend of mine that was trading, and in some point he put all his savings into an account, and he lost it all. I mean, he just lost it for several reasons, over trading, whatever. And he called me with that motivation of kind of killing himself. He was like, I can't stand life anymore. I just lost my savings. My wife is gonna be very upset. Things are not going
mm,
okay. And I was like, whoa, this is a big opportunity to kind of just let him go, or just interfere and talk to him. And I managed to do that. And just the fact of him not taking that bad decision and changing his life in a way that totally impacted me. And I'm like, you are here to do something for God, and
mhm.
just let him use you. Don't
Yeah,
don't covet to that. Just let him use you. And it's been awesome. And I think we're always going or pursuing that, trying to, make a change and give value, not just trading value, because most people think it's just the information and the strategy and stuff. But there's more
yeah,
into that. There's life changing, when you got God into your life, and when you're able to put that message out there. So I completely love
mm,
it. And that's one of the main reasons why I started to follow you. I love what you do, man. I love, what you do in your community, and it's been growing huge. So I truly love it. And it's an honor for me to be
yeah.
with you here.
Yeah, no, man. Thanks for having me again. And I think a lot of that stems from my love for people, really stems from my network marketing days. And I've had such great mentorship in my life. I've had incredible mentors, incredible men who took me under their wing that they didn't have to, and they believed in me before I really believed in myself, and they poured into me, and they led by example. And I I just feel obligated to pour back into people because of how my life has been changed from mentorship. And, a lot of people are struggling out there, right? Everyone looks good, everyone smells good, but a lot of people are living these quiet lives of desperation, and they
Yeah.
just need a buddy. They just need someone to come along and say, "Hey, brother, I believe in you. You can do this. If you can see it in the mind, you can bring it to reality." And I grew that love for people in network marketing, and I've always had everyone's best interest in mind, and I didn't quite build up the business that I would have liked to in network marketing,
Hmm.
but I found that opportunity here, right, to actually grow an organization, grow a community, lead a community, and lead them, not just but with words, but mainly with actions. And that's been one of the biggest things that I look forward to every day, is just jumping on the live stream and seeing, even if it's just one person that we can impact that day. One person that may hear something that I have said, or maybe a story that I'm talking about, a previous experience, and it clicks for them, that was worth it for me. So I just have a very strong love for people. I believe in people. And I think if they have the right expectations, that they can get a lot further than if they're just kind of going in blind without any help.
For sure, man. And I love that. I can't say anymore.
Yeah.
Just loving what you do, and eventually you're gonna be impacting more lives because time passes, you keep growing,
Yeah.
and overall you're just so honest and transparent, which is something that a lot of people see and don't get from a lot of influencers out there. There's a lot of
Y-
not good influencers in the industry, but there's people like you that make a difference, and that's amazing.
Yeah, I'll give you an example too about how your example rubs off on people. So every morning, people ask me, "How you doing, Nick?" And my answer is typically blessed, man, blessed and highly favored. I'm doing fantastic. I'm feeling great. Always these I'm feeling phenomenal. Always these vibrant words, and I mean it. I'm not just like, oh, life sucks. Oh yeah, man, doing blessed. Yeah, feeling great. I really mean it. I am blessed and highly favored, man, by the one true God. And I feel that every day. And over time you start seeing people in the chat. How you doing? How you doing, everyone, today? Blessed and highly favored. Fantastic, right? Doing good. And if you could just begin to say that, right? My mentor would always say, hey, don't tell people you're doing good. Tell them you're doing great, because you are. Because look, you've already won, right?
Yeah.
And going back to praying and what you said about people over there on that side of the planet, right? About please God, give me this, please God, give me that. I very rarely ever ask God for anything. Anytime I'm talking with God, I'm in pure gratitude, a state of just thankful, like thank you for giving me this, thank you for giving me that, thank you for giving me wisdom to be able to do these things, right? And yeah, so it rubs off. It rubs off. You're always leading. It's just, are you leading people? How are you leading them? Are you leading them in the right way, or are you leading them in the wrong way? So it's been super cool to see those vibes kind of rub off on the community, and just have that energy of positivity, and it's always you're always more able to grow when you're an optimistic person, when you're positive and you have that perspective on life. So that's something big that we promote on the in the community and on the live streams.
Awesome. Just keep it up, man. I have
Yeah,
two more
that's it.
questions to kind of wrap it up here,
Sure.
but what do you think about prop firms? There's a lot of going on, a lot of
Hmm.
information, probably misinformation, but there's a lot of things going, not talking specifically about any, but what do you think
Hmm.
about the prop firm industry nowadays? Is it a good option? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, immediately when you ask me that question, I think of how they have changed my life. And so I personally have a very positive experience. I was trading live accounts and blowing those, and eventually got to the point where I was making some money and withdrawing it, but kind of blowing it, maybe the next week or the next month. And prop firms really changed the game for me. So I started with FTMO, and then had accounts with my forex funds, and it allows the trader to show off their skill,
Hmm.
right? Sometimes traders just don't have too much capital, and this is an opportunity for them. If you have the skill set, they have the capital. And I understand the whole workings of the business side and how most of the money is made on the challenges. And, it's very rare that the trader can get to the point where they're being paid out two, three, four times and all that. And I understand the whole business model of it. But I think if you're a professional and you can approach the markets as a mature adult and a mature trader and understand that your capital is your baby, right? And
Hmm.
that baby needs to be taken care of. It needs to be preserved. And, if you can be disciplined and you can be professional in the markets, I think the prop firm route is a good way. But I also think that the profits there don't go blow it on a new Mercedes Benz, right?
Yeah.
Begin to preserve your money, and then you want to begin to multiply it. So as you begin to preserve it, stacking it away, not buying the new clothes or the new car, but stacking it and sitting on liquid, then you have an opportunity to fund your own account or fund other investments or projects that you may have. So yeah, that's kind of like my initial thoughts on the prop firm space.
Love that. And I believe so as well. It's just an opportunity to kind of diversify. You could
Hmm.
do prop firms, but you could do your own capital and do some other investments. It's not always good to have everything on one spot.
Yeah.
Eventually, trading is a great option to get those resources faster than some other professions out there. But
Hmm.
in the end, it's just to make a good use about it. And again,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things going on, but it's a great opportunity. I started back in
Yeah.
2015, around that year. I left
Oh, wow.
trading, I left trading for like 3 years because I was upset and I lost a lot of money. But back then, there was really no prop firms. There was really none of that.
Yeah.
And then I came to know a bit more about prop firms a couple years after, and I started with the futures one. Not even there
Mm.
was not even forex prop firms, and then a couple years after, then FTMO, came into play, and it started
Hmm.
to change the whole industry. And a lot of people got good revenue from this
Yeah.
model of business, business model. So it's a good option if you know how to manage it and control
Hmm.
yourself and have a plan.
Yeah.
Everything we spoke throughout this whole
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, yeah. And again, all about perspective, right? It's all about perspective. Most people they don't like the rules and they blame the prop firm and they blame this and blame that. But me, I was just like, hey, these prop firms are gonna keep me in check. They're gonna give me an opportunity to display professionalism. And if I can't handle that, then do I have any business being in these markets, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the kind of look that I kind of went with and just used it as a test. Hey, can I be professional? Can I be disciplined? And if I can, they'll let me use the capital. And if not, then maybe I need to second guess whether or not I should be in this business or not.
Yeah. And even though
Yeah.
there's a lot of changes going on, for me, I think it's a business that's gonna help for many more years. It's like something that's gonna hold on, but there's changes that need to happen and all these things
Yeah.
need to go on.
Yeah. Yep.
But you just gotta stay focused and just take advantage of this opportunity for sure.
I agree.
Just to end it here, I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to traders that are probably watching this podcast and they want to get into trading or they already in trading, but what advice would you give them to kind of stay there, focus, and just not lose faith into all this opportunity that trading gives a lot of people too?
Yeah, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. If you can believe in yourself, you have to understand everything works, right? Every strategy works, but will you work? Right? That's the question. You have to look within. You have to begin to understand you. It goes much deeper than trading, right? Everyone is so focused on the charts, but what about you, right? Can you stick to a morning routine? Can you even wake up to get to the charts, right?
Hmm.
Let's start there, right? Some guys I joke about on the live stream, they're one eye open, they're on their laptop, the laptop's on their chest, they're still under the covers. And it's like, do you really expect to achieve financial freedom like that? Like, just think about it, right? So, can you work, right? Can you begin to work on you and strive to be the best you can be? That way, no matter what you put your hand to, whether it's trading, whether it's any other business in general, you will dominate in that space. So, focus on yourself. Find some sort of a system that you can be comfortable with applying every day, and don't chase the money, right? Money is a lagging indicator of success.
Hmm.
Money typically will come last, right? It's like fruit, right? If you plant a fruit tree, the last thing to show up is the actual fruit. So you wouldn't expect to plant a seed and eat the apple 2 days later, would you?
Hmm. Hmm.
Right? So why would you expect it to be any different in trading, in learning an instrument, in playing a sport, in starting a business, in developing a relationship with a friend or a future spouse? Everything takes time. Everything has a sowing and reaping process to it. And if you can get past all the internet funk, right,
Hmm.
where it's such an industry that is fed off of people just trying to live some life, right? That's put out there for them. If you can focus on, okay, let me study the game. Let me give this a couple years, just like you would. for anything else you do in life. Let's understand that there's a process that's going to take place here, and I'm going to fail in the beginning. You know, you just have to kind of understand that. My mentor would tell me, Nick, you need to fail fast and fail often, right? In order, if you want to get to success. So understand that there's a process. Begin to develop yourself, right? Begin to create routines in your life. Apply successful habits. I have a big bookshelf behind me. Begin to read 15, 20 minutes a day. Begin to listen to a good podcast on trading or whatever it is that you're looking to get into. Develop a morning routine. Wake up at the same time every day. Go to bed at the same time every day, and develop this schedule and these routines and these systems within your life. And then eventually, when it's time to put together a system in trading, it becomes second nature because you understand the laws of the game, right? The laws that govern success. And that's all you need to do. Don't get swayed this way, and don't keep blowing with the wind, right? Plant your stake somewhere and give it a go. Give it a year, right? Give it 100 trades for you to budge and see what the results are like, and you'll be proud of yourself. Whether you make millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, that's not what you're after. You're after consistent growth. You know, I'll leave it with this one guy on the live stream a couple days ago. He said, "Hey Nick, you know, last year I was taking 5, 6 losses a day.
Wow.
This year I'm taking sometimes 5, 6 losses a month." And if he just made that one improvement over that past 12 months, in my book, that's a good year, right? That's a good year. Even if he's not even at the break even stage fit yet, even if he's not profitable yet, he's inching his way closer to success. And success is a game of inches. And most people, they want to shortcut the shortcut. So, what I would tell people is don't try and shortcut the shortcut, man. This is the shortcut, right? Be where your feet are, learn the game so that way maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but maybe a year from now you can put yourself in a totally different place financially and as a trader, and really reap the rewards and get to live the life that you dream.
Well, yeah, man. Have to thank you again for your time. This has been a great conversation. I know you people are gonna
For
love
sure.
it. Hopefully we'll get it also dubbed in Spanish so that people could understand it. Your community as well will be able to
Hey.
have access to it. And it is a very neat project. And also, Nick, thank you so much. How's your social media? What's your social media so they could follow you on Instagram and all that?
Yeah, so Instagram is it's Nick Stewart with an underscore at the end. And then you can come find us on YouTube Monday through Friday. We begin at 6:45 a.m. Eastern. We have a blast. We have an incredible community. We trade pretty much every day. And that's where we're at. That's where you can find us on a day-to-day basis. So come join the party.
It is a great option, man. So thank you
Yeah.
again. Thank you everyone for joining us. Remember to subscribe to our channel and activate the notifications for future videos. Again, have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye bye.